Alright, then the other thing is, this chainsaw was one that I picked up from a guy who got my number from the hardware store. He brought over several saws in his trunk. I've sold some of them and did pretty good. This one, I wasn't getting a spark. This is a Homelite Super XL. I wasn't getting a spark. And I had recently subscribed to a channel. It's called Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. And his specialty is, and he's been working on chainsaws, I believe in one of his videos, he said since he was 13 years old. And he really knows these Homelites. And I have gotten a hold of him and emailed back and forth asking questions. And I've been working on these Homelites because I can get them free or next to nothing. And a couple of them I have paid quite a bit, but I made quite a bit on them too. I don't like paying for them, but I can do quite well on eBay. So anyway, the coil was shot. And I watched one of his videos about these, and you cannot get, for the most part, these aftermarket ones are junk, he said right out of the box. And he did give me a link to one that is pretty reliable for about $50. But I don't want to spend $50 on this saw, at least not right now. But one of his other videos, he talked about baking the coil in a toaster oven to dry it out on the inside, and I thought, well, that's weird. Never heard of such a thing. But I've not been in this business for too awful long, so I thought I'd give it a go. I don't have a toaster oven. So I put it in our oven, and he said at 200 degrees for 12 to 14 hours. So I got up the next morning. My wife had been up. I went to the oven, and it was off. She said she didn't turn it off, but it was on when she got up. So I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I didn't have a spark. So we picked up a toaster oven. There it is. And I baked it for at least 14 hours, maybe 15 or 16. Probably about 16. I took it out, put it in the saw, and had a spark. So I shot some schmooey in the spark plug hole, and by the time I got everything buttoned up and whatnot, no spark. So I baked it again for about 20 hours on 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Took it out, got a spark. Put it all together, shot some schmooey in there, and she fired. And so I let it sit all night, came up out here with it cold. I poured some gas into the carburetor, and it fired up. Now, one thing I didn't notice until just the other day is the trigger is missing on this saw. So Leon fixed me up with some links. He sells some parts on his channel as well. He's got a website. But anyway, I'm going to order those parts, get the trigger going. So I took the filter off, which needs to be replaced. And I just worked the linkage in there, and this saw runs really good. I had to put a new gas line on it. The other one had rotted right off. But she starts up and runs. Idles really nice. That's one thing about these Homelites. I have taken apart a bunch of these to where I don't think they were ever cleaned inside, and they were so packed full of nastiness. But you know what? They would start and just idle and rev. And I took one of these little ones that's up there in the loft, and I came out here. Now, granted, it wasn't a big tree by any means. Well, you can see a little pile of wood there. And man, I'll tell you what, that thing buzzed right through that tree trunk. I was pretty impressed. Well, now the next project is to get my brother's other concrete saw. Just picked up his parts that came in And there's about $213 worth of stuff there. So that's where we're at. I'm finally finishing up this saw. When I picked it up from the feller, I didn't notice that it was missing the trigger there. I mentioned the guy that has a channel on YouTube. He specializes in Homelites, and he also sells parts. So I contacted him, and I bought this trigger, the button and the spring, and then that clip there for next to nothing. Got the parts within a few days, and I finally getting time to put it back together, and I'm excited because this saw runs, and baking the coil in the toaster oven did the trick. So if working on these old chainsaws interests you, check out Leon's channel. It's called Leon's Chainsaws Parts and Repair, I believe. I'll put a link below. I really like, he works on other old saws, McCullochs, and just different ones. But he specializes in these old Homelites. He even has a Homelite circular saw. He's got a video on it. I've never seen such a thing. It was really cool. So I put this together. I've been bugging him quite a bit about stuff. I'm going to have to bug him again because I really do need to replace that. So before, when I was running this, I just had to do the throttle with my finger, but now works great. That button works. I'm so excited. Well, I finally got the parts that I need to finish off this saw. And this green felt thing, I don't know if that's original or if somebody, I think somebody made that. So we'll just file that over there. Put this one on there. Yep, see, that's going to seal nicely. That's on secure. Then the other part goes down in here. So I need to take the recoil spring out and place this shield, put that in there. So I removed this part and these two. And now the trick is to get the spring out of here without a bunch of boing going on. Which this one's actually pretty easy because this outer band is riveted right there. And so that should hold it all together so long as you don't let it fall through. There's the old piece. I only have two hands. So the new one is now on, sorta. It should be ready for sale. I need to put the bar and chain back on it, which is right down there. And we'll give her a start and see how she do. Finally, all back together. We'll take it outside and give her a rip. Okay. Just kidding. All right, she's ready to be sold.